Unfortunately, the Bearcat football team lost in their home opener this week against Bridgewater with a score of 23-7. I still got the chance to speak with head coach Bob Colbert to hear how he plans to follow up on last week's game. Do you have any general comments about this last week's game?
Well, it was a disappointing loss that it was a 0-0 game at halftime, and then when we started to get some momentum, we turned the ball over on offense. And I was disappointed in that on defense we couldn't get off the field. They kept us on the field, and you can't play that way and expect to win. And any time that you're -4 in the turnovers, you're going to have a hard time winning the ball game. And then the other thing that struck me is, as we were watching film of the game on Sunday, is that a lot of players played in their first varsity game. We had a couple of freshmen that never played in a game before on the varsity level in college, and they made some critical errors. We also had some players that are sophomores that were seeing their first extensive action on college level, and they made some critical errors. So the bottom line is we had a bunch of players playing in their first ball game, and I think that inexperience showed.
What do you have to say about the several turnovers that this game possessed?
Well, they were critical. They stopped momentum a couple times. The first drive of the second half was a 0-0 ball game, and we're doing okay. We're hanging in there against a good opponent, a fast, strong opponent, and we're going down the field, and we get down to their 30-yard line, and they steal the ball from us. That's inexcusable. And then later on, again, it's only 14-7. We got something going again in the fourth quarter, and we fumbled the ball again. So those were momentum killers. As I said, we got something going, and then they killed some momentum. And the one play, the screen pass that was intercepted, their defensive line made a nice play. Got off the ground, knocked the ball down, tipped it in their linebacker. That was a nice play by their player. But you can't not win games turning the ball over. If you research how games are won and lost, the teams that have the most turnovers are generally going to lose.
Do you feel like fatigue played a role in the amounts of injuries that took place during the game?
No, there weren't a lot of injuries as such. I mean, we only had one serious injury, but we had some dehydration problems and fatigue. I don't know if it was fatigue as much as we were dehydrated. The humid weather got to our players, and we've addressed that. We've addressed that in terms of preparation for the week, in terms of how you hydrate yourself during the week, drinking the proper fluids, and we've tried to educate them on the way to do that in a more efficient form. They didn't do that. So we've addressed that issue, and hopefully that won't be a problem this week.
What can be taken from the opening game this season as a whole?
Well, it takes, I told the players at halftime when it was 0-0, this is going to come down to the fourth quarter. The team that is the toughest mentally and the toughest physically, with the weather the way it was, that's the team that's going to win. And that's what happened to us. We got to the fourth quarter. It was, I think, about 12 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter, and it was a 14-7 ball game, and we're still in a game in spite of the turnovers. So I think that our players should have learned that it takes all 60 minutes to win a ball game. That you just can't, the game's not going to get over in the first 5 minutes. So I hope that they learned that, and I hope that they learn a little bit about finishing. Like I said, it's 0-0 at halftime. Then you have to finish. You have to finish the game in a proper fashion. So I'm hoping that our young players now have that experience, and they can learn from that experience and learn what college football is all about. I asked one of our younger players who was playing his first ball game, I said, "What'd you learn?" He said, "Boy, the game's much faster. Things happen a lot faster, and it's a little bit more intense than it was in high school." So I'm hoping that they learned those lessons from last week's ball game.
What challenges does Worcester present this week?
Well, Worcester is a team that plays in the North Coast Athletic Conference. They present challenges offensively and defensively in that it's a completely different style of offense now that our defense has to prepare for. They play this, they use this spread type of offense, 4 wide receivers, very mobile quarterback, very athletic quarterback. And then on defense, Their front is the same, but their coverage is a little bit different than we face. So it's a different schemes that we're facing offensively and defensively. And I think that their overall team speed is good. They have very good skilled athletes in the wide receiver and the secondary, and they appear to have very good speed from the film that we watched. They got beat, I think, with about a minute and a half left in the ball game on a field goal. Allegheny College beat them. So it's going to be a competitive game. There's no question about it. And we're really not familiar with them because we've never played them before. And of course, they've never played us before. The biggest challenge is just different style of offense, different style of defense.
Thank you, Coach. We'll see you next week here to recap the next game.